Ladies and gentlemen, I have something here today I wanted to talk about because, for those of you that aren't aware, tensions between the United States and Venezuela have been going up, getting increasingly more and more difficult. So I wanted to point a few things out here because this right here is going to we're gonna get into this real quick. We're gonna look at the map here of Venezuela. Okay, I wanted to show you guys something real quick before we get into this. So this is Venezuela, right? Okay. There is. I'm gonna be honest. There's a lot of points of entry off the coast of Venezuela if tensions get high enough and an invasion has to occur. Now, mind you, we don't want an invasion. Okay, that's not really what we're looking for here. That's not the goal. Okay, the goal is to stop drugs from getting from Venezuela either A to Mexico or over here to Miami and the Bahamas and into Florida. Okay, that's the goal here. All right, that's the goal. Okay, that's what they, you know what I mean. That's yeah. Okay. So what we're looking at here is just. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. I've kind of got an idea about Venezuela and stuff, and it's already bad. I mean, Mexico's already having issues. They've got revolts and riots, and understandably so. It's rightfully so. Like, I mean, it's all over the world. But in particular, Mexico and Venezuela. Okay, that's the issues that we're having here. The problems. Okay, that's the problems that we're having here. But there's a lot of areas that they can invade from and or attack from. You have we can call it what? We'll call this Lago. Okay, that's Lago de Mar. I can't read that sideways, and I don't really. Oh, it's that. Yeah, I can't read that. Anyways, so they can invade from the Lago. They've got plenty of area there to go from. They can Puerto La Cruz. They can go from there. They like there's gonna like for instance, Caracas. That's what I'm gonna call that because that's what it looks like. Like I'm not gonna lie, I want to say if I'm not mistaken, because that's the Dominican Republic, and I believe all of these are part of the Dominican Republic. But I believe these islands here are part of Venezuela, federal dependencies of Venezuela. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna assume that if things go south or sideways, these islands are gonna go first. All of these little islands, every single one of those will get taken so quick. Colombia's not gonna want to fight us. Ecuador's not gonna get involved. They're not going to. It just won't happen. The U.S. will have full control over the coast of Venezuela within a couple of days. Okay. Um, the city of Caracas will be taken first, and there's not going to be a whole lot of resistance. I mean, there'll be a little bit, but not really. Because if I'm not mistaken, there's quite a bit of people in Venezuela that are actually irritated too. So, and most likely, what's going to happen is they're going to take Caracas. They're gonna try to like this is gonna be a heavily defended area. Okay, this area will be heavily defended. But if they can take Maricabo, they'll have a port already. Okay, even Coro they'll have a port. Okay, that's two ports right there. All right, that's good areas. That's ports that we can send more ships to quickly, easily, and effectively. Now, if they target like Puerto La Cruz, that's another port, okay? And that's more towards the center. And then they'll just go down south from there. El Tigre is definitely going to be a hot spot to take over for sure. El Tigre, they're going to want that because that's a big center, like mass city. They're going to want to take that like almost immediately. And San Fernando de Apuer. Okay, that is going to be something that they're going to want to take almost instantly. They're going to want these. They're going to want El Tigre and San Fernando de Apuer. Um, Now, if we come down here past Maracaibo, like port in that area, uh, I want to say San Cristóbal. They're gonna want that too. That'll be a good spot for them to take. Meridia and Barinas. They're gonna want those. I mean, they're gonna take it all, granted, but like I'm pointing out little specific spots, because there are certain areas that they are just going to use more than others. They can even send in a spot here on the far east side of Venezuela, near Guana City. They could come in from right there. I mean, they could go from there and literally take Tucapita. I can't say that right. I definitely am saying that wrong. I'm not trying to. They could take that almost instantly. And El Calo and Tumero, they can like these two locations. I mean, this one's gonna be a little harder. That one will come after, but Pita and Guana City, those would be the first two to go. Absolutely. The East Coast invasion would be actually probably one of the best to do. Granted, it would pull a big chunk of Venezuela's military over here to Guana City. Granted, they're still going to be defending Caracas, and they're still going to have defense there. But if we can even make a push here inland into Venezuela, we'll take it over very quickly. Speaking of which, for those of you that didn't know, the United States military reopened up its jungle training. So yes, tensions are high enough that now we are retraining back, doing the jungle training. And there is a lot going on here. So I just, Venezuela, be prepared. We're not just some pushover, and I don't know why Venezuela would even try to attempt to pick a fight with the USA. I mean, I get it, it's their drugs, and they're trying to deny it, say no, and stop it, and say it was a fishing boat and all that crap. Well, if it was a fishing boat, you probably, are you sure? Anyways, point being, there was evidence found that it was not a fishing boat. So we are now going to move on to next set of things. Let's go ahead and listen to this.
The U.S. says its biggest aircraft carrier strike group has now entered the Caribbean Sea. The U.S. Navy making that announcement a short time ago. The USS Gerald Ford is set to join major military exercises that are scheduled to begin today off the coast of Venezuela. The U.S. has already put more than a dozen warships and 15,000 troops in the region as tensions with Venezuela continue to rise.
Now, okay, I need you to take a notice on that, okay? 15,000 troops is not a lot of people. I'm going to be totally honest with you. That's a very, very small amount of people, okay? 15,000 troops is very small. That's a very small number. Incredibly, incredibly small. But that's enough troops to do a full-scale invasion and take over a location, okay?
We've got
like I was
coverage
just describing.
For you. CNN senior reporter Betsy Klein is in Florida, where the president is spending the weekend. We're hearing from the Secretary of the Army today. What is he saying about Venezuela?
Well, Frederica, there have been weeks of threats from President Trump as the U.S. has been amassing resources in the region.
I don't even want to say they're threats. He's just letting them know what's going to happen.
20 strikes on alleged drug trafficking vessels in the Caribbean since September. President Trump himself has said that he has authorized the CIA to operate in Venezuela. And we understand, according to reporting from our sources, that the president has been briefed a number of times in recent days, at least 3 times last week, on a range of options to move forward. That includes the possibility of airstrikes on military or government facilities in Venezuela, as well as drug trafficking routes, as well as what could be a more direct attempt to oust the country's president, Nicolas Maduro. The president told reporters Friday that he'd made up his mind, sort of, but declined to provide specifics. Now, experts have described this military buildup in the region as significant.
Now, I do want to make this clear. The only thing the United States actually wants is for a regime change. That is it. We just don't want the individual who's in power to be in power. They're corrupted. That's the only problem we have here.
As you mentioned, we have learned that the USS Gerald R. Ford, that is the nation's largest aircraft carrier, has arrived in the Caribbean Sea as of today. Separately, there are roughly 15,000 military personnel on the ground, 10 F-35 fighter jets, as well as more than a dozen warships in the region. And we heard from Army Secretary Dan Driscoll a short while ago about the plans. Listen.
I think that the President and Secretary of War have spent a lot of time thinking about what is the best thing they can do for the American people. And I can speak from the Army's perspective, which is we have a lot of training in that part of the world. We're reactivating our jungle school in Panama. We would be ready to act on whatever the President and Secretary of War needed.
But no orders beyond these exercises?
No. See, that's the thing. We are getting ready for war. That's the difference. We're getting ready for war. Because Venezuela keeps running their mouth. Venezuela doesn't want to listen. And when you step out of line, you get adjusted.
At this point.
We don't talk about those kinds of things, but we would be ready if asked.
Now, I want to get into the why here. Of course, officially, the Trump administration is going after drug trafficking operations in Venezuela.
Why is it called the Trump administration when it could just be the administration of Trump?
And efforts to oust Maduro have proven elusive to so many administrations, including the president's first term. Now, if Trump ousted Maduro, that could allow him to claim some major wins. Of course, getting a strong man out and potentially an elected leader in, the possibility of enhanced collaboration on drug trafficking and migration flows, as well as potential deals in oil. Of course, all of this carries very high risks, and that is something that the president is now weighing, Frederica.
Okay. Betsy Klein, let us know more as you learn it. With me now is Global Affairs Analyst Kim Dozier. Welcome. Good to see you.
No, it's just, it's not only that it's getting out of hand, it's going to continue to get this way. It's going to continue to pile up until it explodes. It's like a cork on a wine bottle. You shake it up enough and eventually it's going to pop off the top. You just got to give it some time.
Taking all of those alleged drug boats out and now doing these military exercises in the region. Is this a prelude for something more in terms of U.S. military involvement in or on Venezuela?
It certainly looks like that. What you see is a collection of forces, the kind that you would put together if you're going to do a series of airstrikes and strikes from those naval vessels on various targets across Venezuela. Most likely military targets, police targets, anything that would get in the way of Maduro being knocked out of power and possibly the opposition leader taking power. Anything that would challenge a successor's power. Also, possibly, they could just go after the drug cartels and various targets like that.
That's true.
That
is true. They
give Trump
totally
a little bit more maneuverability because then he would be
that.
locked into a confrontation with Maduro and trying to get Maduro to leave power.
But the thing is even so,
if
I
the
think
US
the U.S. kind of wants to be locked into a
if
problem
the ambition
with Venezuela,
was to take out Maduro, that would
they
mean
want that, just
that a U.S., whether it be a political or military planning.
Anyways, we were going to finish this, but it's, I'm a little crunched for time myself, but I don't think. Hold on. Let me backtrack. Let me full stop because I gotta think about what I'm going to say before I go and say it. Because sometimes I just speak. We're looking at a situation that not only is getting out of hand, but they want it to get out of hand. But them being there is just letting Venezuela know, hey, we can do this and we will do this, and this is how it's going to be. But I will say that they can totally attack the cartels. They could totally segregate things out. But from the looks of it, from what I can understand, from what I can see, they don't want that. No, they want to go to war. I can't speak for the United States because, well, I don't speak for everybody here that lives on this freaking rock. But from what I can see, they would like war. Maybe not right away, but they want it. They definitely want it. It's crazy. Anyways, thank you all, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in to The Logic Vault. we do it the logic way or with no logic at all. I hope you guys enjoyed this and liked this video. If you did, give it a like, subscribe, share, and comment. Definitely comment, because I do get back to you guys. I'll see you guys all in the next one.